Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's episode 150 of the Audible Farm podcast, and this episode is brought to you by Couchtown Coffee. Couchtown Coffee is roasted right here in Iowa. That's one of my favorite things. Couchtown Coffee is roasted by somebody who plays music. That's another one of my favorite things. And Couchtown Coffee is also roasted made to order. So when you hit them up and say, hey, I'd like some coffee, they roast it for you and then send it to you. And then all you have to do is grind it and make coffee, and it's some of the best coffee I've ever had in my entire life. So check it out, couchtowncoffee.com, located right here in Iowa, roasted to order and shipped directly to your house. All you got to do is grind it up and enjoy it. They've been helping me put out this episode by helping me out with some coffee, and that's one of my favorite things about them is I get some coffee from them. I do order their coffee just like everybody else. I love their coffee. It's some of my favorite I've ever had. I drink it every single morning. And if you want to try it out, just go to couchtowncoffee.com, find a coffee you like, make an order, and say, hey, Audible Farm sent us, and they will give you a 20% discount on your coffee. It's that awesome. If you just want to try it out once, just give it a whirl, see what it's like. 20% off. Boom, there you go. Like I said, some of my favorite coffee ever, and it's amazing. So check it out, couchtowncoffee.com. Thank you, Couchtown. I really appreciate it. This episode, I'm sitting down alone. I guess you can read the titles just as well as I can. Solo episode again. Been a little busy. Didn't have anybody scheduled out for this week. I explained a little bit of that in the intro. I dropped some lazy excuses, but the episode picks up really well after that. I'm talking about some Ragbri stuff, playing Ragbri Weekend, playing other shows with Three Finger Betty, doing sound for my buddy Vinny and the Night Prowlers. Like I said, playing a couple shows with Jesse Wilson music, or Jesse Wilson and Friends, whatever iteration he's going to go by for the day, because he's one of the more flexible people I've ended up playing with. So he's able to do it all sorts of ways, whether it's solo or with somebody accompanying him or a whole band. It's pretty cool. I talk about that in this episode. I talk about the upcoming Reforge Initiative show that is happening tomorrow. I also talk about the kind of funniness that happened last week on last week's episode, where I had the episode planned out for the wrong day, pretty much was what happened, and I put it out a little early. But I talk about that as well. I talk a little bit about some new merch that's in the shop, and I talk about all sorts of other good stuff in this episode. It's a little bit shorter than normal, but I hope you enjoy it all the same. This is episode 150. It's a solo episode. Maybe I should have planned something else cooler out for episode 150. I probably should have, but you know what? I've been doing some solo episodes here and there, and I'm always like kind of on the fence about them. It's not really what I wanted to do originally with the podcast, but sometimes the solo episodes are nice because I can kind of get in depth with what I'm thinking about things. And, some people hit me up and they're like, I really like this solo episode. Every now and then I'll get one of those where it's like, that's kind of crazy. It's just me talking about stuff, and, I like the show to be guest driven if I can. I like to talk to other people about what they have going on. Maybe not so much about what I have going on, but that's kind of what this episode was about. I talked a little bit about what I have going on. So, I guess if you enjoy hearing some of that, check it out. Otherwise, I talk about what other people have going on, too, in this episode, as usual. But there's just nobody here sitting with me. I debated at one point in time picking up a phone and calling in and hooking some different stuff up here to try to do a call-in just for fun. But I didn't do any of that. So check this episode out. I hope you like it. I had a good time sitting down talking. Episode 150, solo episode.
It's the Audible Farm Podcast with your host, Peter Stockdale.
Hey, as you heard in the intro, I am without a guest again this week, but I do want to have a few things I could talk about while we're sitting here. This last week was Ragbri week. I guess it's still going on for a little bit here, but I found myself kind of stuck in the middle of it, playing a handful of shows kind of along the Ragbri area, and it was tons of fun. I guess like I've been to a few different Ragbri towns and things like that, and I see bands come in and play, and it was when I was younger usually, and I was just like, oh no, like these guys are so good, there's no way I could ever be that good. And then I found myself being in a band that was playing to a lot of people at Ragbri. And we weren't the only ones. I played with Jesse Wilson over this last weekend, and I guess I could pull up a list of all the people, and I'm sorry if I'm going to miss any, but like Salty Views was there, and Lone Tree Revival was there, and Corey Waller and the Wicked Things were there as well. I mean, there was a whole bunch of different bands there. It was a really, really fun night. And I got to hear part of Corey Waller and the Wicked Things from down the street, but I didn't get to see him, unfortunately. because I was playing a show and our show was X amount long, but I know there was people all night through the whole thing. If I didn't mention Salty Views, they were there as well. Yeah, I don't know. There was other bands playing all around town. I know that a lot of the people we go to jam nights with had shows. I mean, a lot of them, and I've actually kind of been trying to get a couple more of the people that I go to jam nights with in Barnum to get on the podcast, and I've starting to get the wheels in motion for that one. I've got a podcast scheduled for this week, so don't worry. I'll have a fresh guest next week. I do have a couple people on the hook here for that I've never talked to before that I kind of want to get on the podcast, and I'm starting to schedule some things out with them as well. I'm just hoping that with finding myself having a job and having it be like a daily thing and then trying to schedule things around it is not always as easy as I thought it could be. So I guess I did it somehow previously on the podcast, but yeah, I guess maybe just playing all the music is another thing. I guess I never, back then I wasn't playing as many shows as I am now. And it's pretty wild, playing. I almost play like a show a week or 2 shows a week. If I had to sit down and calculate it out, I'm almost at like an averaging 2+ shows a week. So I'm really kind of getting up there with is how many shows I'm playing, and that's just a testament to the people I play with. I mean, whether or not it's Three Finger Betty, or whether or not it's Jesse Wilson, or on the occasion that Clint Riedel brings me with him. I've played with him this year as well. Even like I've been asked to run sound a few times this year, and running sound is such a weird thing because it's like you pretty much just sit in the crowd and just listen, and if you need something to change, you just go change it, and it's almost like a set it and forget it kind of deal. If everybody just keeps doing everything the way they've been doing it, nobody dinks with anything too much or starts to sing like way softer or way lighter before or after during the show or whatever. So as long as people can maintain consistency of some sort, it's usually nothing you have to alter too much, depending on the band. So I've done a little bit of sound, but nothing like extensive. I'm pretty much just like the guy out there that's like, hey, you guys need more of this, and then you just tweak it a little bit and it sounds better. There's a lot of people out there that are way better at sound. Like I would say like of my peers, it would probably be like Brad, the mythical Brad that we've mentioned many times on the podcast that may or may not exist. But yeah, Brad Hofing, he's really good at doing sound stuff. And it's funny because like I don't consider myself a genius at any of it, but I sit down and talk to him about it, and it's just like, oh, I don't know anything about this. Brad's amazing at this, and a lot of his stuff is just self-taught. He just gets curious about it and looks it up. So it's kind of crazy that he's taken it, to that deep of a level. Hopefully someday we'll get on the podcast and I can ask him about why it entertains him and things like that. But he's definitely one of those fun guys out there in the music scene that may or may not exist. So hats off to you, Brad. I'm gonna take a drink of water here. But yeah, definitely. There was a lot of shows going on this weekend. I know, even just yesterday, there was still shows that were going on that some people I know were playing on. I want to say like Tank Anthony had done like almost 10 shows in the last 5 or 6 days or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. That might be slightly exaggerated. It might be like 10 shows in a week, but still, that's crazy. It's you're averaging more than one show a day. That's pretty wild. So hats off to those guys for doing all that work. And that's just for me, like looking around my Facebook and people who, either who I'm friends with or who I've contacted and things like that. I know Clint, like I said, Clint Riedel had a few shows in different towns, and there's a lot of people that had shows that were going on. Different bands, different iterations of things. I think there might have even been somebody that played like 2 or 3 times a day on one of those days, depending on what's going on. So it's really crazy. Ragbri is such a fun event. Everyone was pretty nice that I ran into. It was just a really, really good time overall. On Friday night last week, I played with Three Finger Betty, and those shows have been going over really well, actually. I don't know if it's because COVID's over or what's going on, but if it's the lineups we're choosing or the fact that there aren't as many shows going on, so people are just ready to get out there to certain shows. But whether or not it was this weekend or the previous weekend, I've been having a blast playing with them too. I mean, the venues are relatively packed. I mean, one of them was very, very, very full when we got in there and played, and it was pretty wild. And it's been a really fun summer as far as playing shows. I'm glad, people are like, oh, I'm glad they're back, and they are back, but we've been playing shows for a decent hunk of this year. it's just kind of tough to be like, oh, everyone's finally coming out to shows, but it is, summer, so that's another thing that people are, picking and choosing what events they want to go to, and people are around and ready to go out. It's a lot more active than wintertime. It's not as easy to pull people out at shows at wintertime, so it's just the way it is, but it's also, I think maybe we're gaining some steam in the Three Finger Betty camp. There's a lot of people that are like, this is good music. So, it's just that weird thing where we play with all sorts of different bands. We play with rock bands, and we fit in somehow with them. We play with like metal bands, somehow we fit in with them. It really doesn't matter. And then you throw us in with punk bands, and it's like, we don't sound exactly like this. Most of the punk bands that we've played with, you can kind of put them in certain categories, and it's like, what exactly are we kind of going for? Because it wasn't sounding anything like what else was going on here. It doesn't mean it's anything bad, but it was just kind of like, this is crazy. So that's, the benefit of the Three Finger Betty camp is they can sound pretty much like anything they want to sound like, and they can kind of do whatever they want to do as far as music wise, and I guess I'm speaking about them like they're a different, set of people, but I'm in that band, and that's just one of those things is, we spent a lot of time practicing, every single week to get really, really tight. And as of recently, we haven't had as many opportunities to play practice together. But, somehow we've still maintained this tightness. And it's one of those like, what is it, the 10,000 hours thing, or I think is that right? Yeah, I think it's 10,000 hours. But yeah, we definitely put our time in to get like as tight as we could, and that comes from playing multiple shows a week. Once again, depending on where we had to play or what nights we had to play on and things like that. But it also comes down to like when I had the free time, I just did it. It's like, oh, it's Thursday night and I have school at 9. Like, oh, it's if I was going back to school, it's like I can do that or whatever, and then just work at nighttime. So. It's like I was just also lucky I had a really flexible job schedule back then as well. Not that my job schedule's not too bad right now, but it has been kind of tough trying to like balance everything out. It's just one of those weird things when you have like a life change. You're like, man, how am I going to manage all this stuff? And then you just adjust a couple things, and boom, you figure out how to manage everything. And whatever is most important to you will always rise to the top. Like the cream of the crop. There's a nice pro wrestling reference, cream of the crop, for anybody's in the know out there. Also, for anybody that's in the know out there, speaking of cream of the crop, there is some new shirts in the Audible Farm online shop. I'm actually wearing one right now. If you're watching the Patreon, let's see here. Boom, there it is. Maybe I'll even clip that part out and put it in on the YouTubes and the other interwebs for the clip. But anyways, yeah, I got new shirts out. There's a handful of different styles. I only made a handful of them too, so I don't. It was one I was just like, we'll test these out and see what kind of happens here and see if people like them or not. I feel like it's a niche market, but it's a fun one for me. So for people that are not watching, I showed the camera what my shirt was. You can check out the clip, or I can just tell you it's a pro wrestling themed Audible Farm shirt. It's pretty fun. I enjoy it. I have been, in my free time watching some pro wrestling as of lately. So it's fun to sit down and be like, all right, well, let's make one of these, and boom, here you go. You got some new Audible Farm merch. And like I said, I didn't make too many of them because it's kind of a weird niche thing, but I did make some. So if you want one, go grab one. But just be advised, I didn't make very many. So. Or I didn't have very many made. I didn't personally make them. I do have to shout out to Corrosive Screen Printing for agreeing to do like a short run of these shirts for me. And, once again, I would suggest them to anyone if they're looking for somebody to screen print shirts. They're based out of the Des Moines-ish area. I will say that. I know they recently moved, but it's still in right around in that Des Moines area. It's not too far outside of Des Moines now. So, if anybody down in that area is looking to make shirts or have shirts made, I would suggest them. Or if there's any bands that are like, hey, I'm looking for somebody that's reliable, well, they've made all my shirts, and I've always asked for weird stuff. And if there ever was an issue, they've always found a way to fix it. And they're probably one of the best. I mean, a couple of times they're like, oh, we printed one of these on the wrong style shirt first or whatever, and they're just like, so we'll just give you that shirt because what are we gonna do with it? And it's like, hey, that's cool. I got like an extra shirt out of the deal, so I just kept it. They've done things like that. Where it's kind of fun, where it's like, oh, it's a present. This is kind of neat. Another time, like I said, I've ordered a lot of shirts and things through them, not just as a podcast, but as a band, because they're one of those companies that the guy that is doing all of the work for, I don't know if he's doing all the work, but I think he is doing all the work. Like, I think it's just a really small company, maybe him and his significant other doing all the work there. So, yeah. Either way, yeah, he's in a band too, and he's always out there. He's been grinding. I think he's been doing it longer than I have, to be honest. Um, I only know him as Harpo. I'm not even sure if that's his real name, but Harpo, if you're out there listening to this, big hats off to you for doing all the work for me. I really appreciate it. If there's anybody out there looking for somebody to make t-shirts, I say hit him up. Like I said, a lot of people in the music scene utilize him because he's also in the music scene. So he's not out there to make like a gazillion billion dollars off somebody for shirts. And another thing, like I said, I was out there weird. I was just like, I bought this one shirt this one time, and this is what the tag looks like. Can you figure out what it is? And then he's like, can you describe the material? It comes down to just like him always working with me. It was always just like, yeah, I can get those shirts that you want though. This specific shirt. Now, it's not like the shirt I wanted was outlandishly weird, but it's not like a super common shirt that people would choose. And I just chose them because they're soft. But yeah, if you're looking for shirts, I say hit him up. He can work with you. He can send you drafts of what you want to get and things like that too. I've seen him do that. So hats off to him. He's always done really good work. And like I said, he's only ever been good to me ever. So if you're looking for something there, hit him up. That's who did my shirts. And like I said, these are pro wrestling themed shirts. If you're looking for a shirt, scroll down below into the description section and check out the shirts that are available. I do also have medium, large, and extra large of the classic Audible Farm logo shirt, the on the gray. When I got more of those, I got a darker gray color. So if you're looking for one of those, I do have a new color. It's very similar, but the t-shirt's just like slightly darker gray than the original one. So it's definitely not black, but it's like a darker gray. So if you're looking for that one, check that one out. It's kind of a cool shirt. Hopefully I'll be able to post a picture of that here before too long on one of the social medias to show those off as well. Those are just the colors I ended up getting. I think I ordered the wrong ones or something like that. They just came out like that. So I actually think they look pretty cool. When I first wanted the Audible Farm shirts, I wanted them that dark, like initially. And then I got a proof of one, and I was like, I don't know if these are the right ones. And then I ended up ordering a lighter color. And honestly, when I got the lighter gray shirts, the ones that are the classic shirts that everybody knows as the Audible Farm t-shirts, I was like, this might be too light of gray for me. But I was really glad I got the lighter color because they were cooler, and it just stood out. And it was just one of those things where it's like, it looks classic. It looks like a classic t-shirt, So those are the Audible Farm classic shirts, but I do have Audible Farm classic shirts in dark gray. So if you're looking for one of those, check them out. Like I said, hopefully I'll be able to post a picture of those here before too long on one of the social media so you guys can check them out. They are available for sale on the Audible Farm website's shop, which I said description was down below, I believe. If I didn't, the link for that's in the description. So check that out. What else did I get on? Oh yeah, I've also got Audible Farm keychains back in the shop, and those are the new things I've got in there. I've got 3 new shirt designs. Well, it's one new design, but it's 3 different colors. So if you're looking for different colors of these, I also do have. Once again, I'm flashing it at the camera. If you're looking for different colors of these, like the classic black and white, I do have those available as well. Or this is the red and black, and I do also have the blue ones from the Blue World Order from back in the day. Ooh, did I just say that? Yeah. Well, there I gave away one of the shirts, and if you're in the know deep enough, you'll be able to figure out what shirts I've got. Before now, I think I just kind of dropped a couple slight references, but yeah, I've got black and white, red and black, and I've also got blue and white. So check out the new Audible Farm shirt design online in the couple different colors, as well as the shirts that are dark gray. And like I said, I've also got the keychains in. When I got those in before, most of those went pretty quick because I just ordered a few. So I ordered a few more. We'll see if anybody jumps on these as well. So Audible Farm keychains also available in the shop. I got to say thanks to everybody that's been looking at the shop. It has kind of blown up in the last few days from when I posted a picture of those shirts and kind of talked about, originally putting up the keychains. I dropped a post online about that. So thank you very much to everybody that's been going to the shop. Like I said, I don't really get to see too many stats on that because it's just kind of a free shop that I set up. But I can see some stats on there, and I do see a lot of people going to it, so I really do appreciate it. Thank you very much for that, everybody. That's definitely compared to when I don't ever talk about going to the shop, really. I do talk about it a little bit, but rarely do I have new things coming out, like the new shirt designs. Once again, these, I didn't know if anybody would want these, so I didn't print very many, and believe it or not, one size of one variation already sold out, so I may end up having to order some more of these, whether I like it or not. I was originally just going to do a short run and be like, well, what I got is what I got. When they're gone, they're gone. But I might keep a few of these limited in stock for a while. We'll see. We'll have to see how many people end up wanting them because, like I said, when I showed these to a few people, they were just like, I got to get one. So I guess I got to deliver some more T-shirts. As a matter of fact, the day I said I had them, I ended up shipping a handful of them out like already, and that was kind of when I was like, oh geez, I better get on this one here. So there is that going on. Another thing that's going on is, did anybody listen to last week's episode? Because last week's episode, I had one person message me and they were like, I was confused, but I'm glad you said the date of the show because I went and looked it up and realized what day it was. So the Brutal Republic, or I guess that's the band, but the Reforge Initiative show, we talked about it in last week's episode. And in last week's episode, I was originally going to try to put the show out the day before the show, and I didn't end up doing it. Put the podcast episode out the day before the show, but I didn't do it that way, and it's my fault that I didn't. But this is the day before the show, so if anybody was listening to, I said it in the intro and the outro, like no matter what we say in the podcast, don't listen to it. The intro and the outro has the correct information, and it still does. That's the way it is. But in the episode, you listen to it and we're like, it's tomorrow, so go tomorrow. We said it like a billion times, thanks to me because I kept pushing it. But like I said, I didn't want to do a solo episode that week, so I just put that episode out, and I ended up doing the solo episode this week. And I don't know which one would have been preferred or which one's more lazy, but that's what happened. So I didn't have another episode scheduled, so I ended up just dumping that one in there. And sorry, I do know, like I said, I had one person message me, so maybe it's confusing, but it is July 30th. And it's Friday, July 30th, 5 to 9 p.m. Maybe a little bit later, maybe. But I did hear it may or may not rain tomorrow. So hopefully it doesn't rain. And I think that event is outside, if I'm not mistaken. But Jeremy also said they did it inside. So for Dodge, it's a scholarship fundraiser for the Reforge Initiative. Jeremy Ober, Brutal Republic, is going to be there, same as Riddled with Class. Highly suggest anyone in the northern Iowa area going to that. That's going to be a really, really good show. So, like I said last week, it's a really good cause with some really, really good people. Some of my favorite people in the music scene are going to be involved in that show. So, and I'm not talking about like one or two. I'm talking about literally all of them in all of the bands. So, like, there's some of my favorite people out there in the scene. Nicest guys I've ever met. So, I got to say, that's going to be a cool show. I'm definitely going. I one way or another, I'm going to that. Even if it rains, I'll go stand outside. You know what? If you go to that, hit me up. Maybe I'll have some Audible Farm shirts. But a lot of people tell me you should bring them to events and sell them at events. And it's like, I feel bad because I feel like I'm going to take money from the other thing that's going on at the event. Like, oh, buy one of my shirts so you don't put money in their tip jar. Or buy one of my shirts so you don't buy one of the band's shirts. You know, it's one of those weird things where I don't know where I stand on it. I've done it a couple times, but it feels like I'm in the way. I don't know why. And I honestly have never sold an article of clothing at an event before. and once again, like I said, I kind of feel in the way. So usually if I'm at a show, I kind of just wear a shirt or at least have an article of the clothing around somewhere on stage. Like I used to put my guitar on a stand and then hang the like a t-shirt below the guitar off the stand so people could see it. You know, just like do a weird thing like that. But I was never really like I said, I always kind of felt in the way if I like soaked up part of the merch table or advertised that I would have them there. So I don't know. Like I said, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I kind of feel bad bringing like stuff to shows and advertising and acting too much like a shill. But is that one of those words that just became offensive in the last couple of years? I hope not. But yeah, I don't want to feel like I'm just out there hawking merchandise to people. So I ended up just, you know, I most of the shirts I sell is just because people ask me for one, and that's the only way I sell them, which is, you know, that's really kind of a cool thing. I appreciate everybody doing that. I have had with this new design, a couple of people hit me up and they're like, "You need to get me one of those." So I need to go get some more of those shipped out tomorrow, which is, once again, I said, it's pretty wild to have that many people want to buy your shirts. And it's kind of obvious why. Once again, if you see the design, go check it out online, or if you're watching like the video clip, and I flashed it on the video clip. But otherwise, go check it out online. The shop link is down below. And wear one to the event this weekend. I'll be at the event. Hit me up. Maybe I'll do one of these. Go to the event. I'll just give you a free sticker. I usually have stickers with me, and I'll make sure I bring some stickers to this event, and I'll just give you a sticker. So go to the event this weekend. It's the Reforge Initiative Scholarship Fundraiser, July 30th. It's a Friday, 5 to 9 p.m. It is tomorrow. Tomorrow. This time I'm for real. It's tomorrow. Go to the show, July 30th, Friday. That's tomorrow. Go to that event and check it out because it's going to be tons of fun. Like I said, I'll be there at one point in the night at least, and I'll have stickers in my pocket. So wear an Audible Farm shirt, and I'll give you a sticker. And let's say you don't have one and you want one, buy one online or hit me up beforehand, and I will get you one. That's another thing. I do have people that are like, live in my town that have bought shirts from me online. And it's like, dude, you have my phone number, hit me up. And I know it's kind of weird to say that, but just do it. It might be easier than me having to go through the whole thing of like charging you shipping and then refunding it if I'm just like gonna walk down the street and give it to you. So yeah, I don't know. So I do kind of feel bad about that with a couple people that have bought shirts that are like extremely local to me, or people that I see like once a week anyways, and it's like, oh man, you should have just hit me up. I could have got you one. They're like right here, you know. So if you want a t-shirt and you see me every single week, just hit me up. Otherwise, the shop link is there. It's available. It's really easy to use, actually. The only way I found out about that shop was utilizing it to buy other things from other people. So it's a nice shop to set up there. It's really easy. I only have the availability to sell a handful of different items. That's why I have varieties within the selections there. Like the t-shirt section, there's 4 t-shirts that are available there. And technically the 5th one would be the dark gray one that's there's not a picture of. So I need to, like I said, once again, I need to get that taken care of. But yeah, so maybe I'll get a new picture up there, upload it or something, and get that taken care of. But that's pretty much all I've got going on in my week. I was really busy the last couple of weeks playing a lot of different shows with either Three Finger Betty or Jesse Wilson. That's another thing. I think Jesse had a show every night. I had a Three Finger Betty show, and that's another one where it's like, I mean, he doesn't have to have a lead guitarist around to play with. He can sometimes just do it with a bassist or do it solo, you know, and he's done the full band thing. And I don't even have to be the lead guitarist. I think one of those shows he played and he had Jordan Reuter play guitar with him. And I know earlier this year he's had Vince Menashek play guitar with him on a show, at least one show, you know, and you know, I know he's done shows with Owen alone, and he's done shows by himself alone, and it's just one of those cool things. He's flexible. He's able to change up his band on the go. As long as he knows what he needs to book for, he can book just about anything people need, which is pretty sweet to have that availability, you know, and have the flexibility to do that. Where it's like one show he was just like, I think I'm just going to try this one alone, and it was like cool. So I went and watched it for a little bit and took off, and boom, alone he goes. And you know, some of those nights where I thought I was going to be booked with Jesse, and Clint was just like, hey, if you're not booked this evening, hit me up, you know, and I go play a show with Clint when I have an off night, and it's like, this is really cool, you know, and Clint's always busy, you know. And he's one of those other people. It's just like he can do it solo if he wants to too. So I kind of I kind of feel like a hired gun in some sense. But I've been the person who's been playing with Jesse Wilson most of this year. I don't have anything recorded with him officially, but I know he's talked about it before. It's like, hey, you should swing over sometime and lay a couple licks down on a few tracks, and we can set them up and see what people think about them or whatever. And it's like, oh, that'd be cool, you know. So otherwise, Three Finger Betty Camp, I've laid some stuff down with them recently. We got some new stuff that's going to be coming out in the next 6 months to a year, maybe. Hopefully sooner, but I'm not the person who keeps track of a lot of that stuff. So let's see when that one comes out. Otherwise, it's coming out not terribly long from now. I know I haven't listened back to it, but I know a few people in the band have. So hopefully the recordings sound good and we've got enough material that's usable to do some stuff with. So yeah, hats off to that. Speed of Sound down in Des Moines doing some killer work with us, Three Finger Betty, at very affordable rates for what's being accomplished there. It's kind of crazy because it's like, are we using like modest equipment here? It's like, no, not really. And it's like, it's just so weird because it's renegade and professional, and the equipment that's being used if you go into the studio is just absolutely insane, depending on what's going on. I know that a lot of vocals have been recorded there, and a lot of different types of music have been recorded there. A lot of different instruments have been recorded there. So he's really getting everything good to go down there at Speed of Sound. So check that out. It's a great place. They do have a Facebook page as well, Speed of Sound, out of Iowa, I believe still in the Des Moines area. And yeah, so yeah, check out Jesse's stuff online, or any of the people I mentioned in this. I got to give a shout out to Scott Kirkhart, you know, being the very first person to buy some of the new Audible Farm merch. He's always been one of my biggest supporters, and I'm always going to be one of his biggest supporters because he's another one of those guys in the scene that is just one of the good guys. So hats off to you, Scott. I really do appreciate it. And you know, somebody did mention to me, I bet you can see this, but boom, it's in the video there. But somebody did mention this to me. You know, I'm always out there wearing other people's stuff, and I always feel like if I'm at a show, I feel a little corny wearing my own stuff, so I try my best not to. I have been seen wearing a lot of Audible Farm merch around at shows, unfortunately, but you know, I'd really do like the Audible Farm podcast. I like what it is, and I not that I'm like, yay me, I'm the greatest, but I do like having something to do and a way to contribute other than just to play music, and I do enjoy the fact that people actually do listen to this, so thank you guys very much for listening every week. Yeah, I guess just support the podcast. I forgot kind of where I was going with that. I don't really think it matters too much, but yeah, the podcast has been a little bit harder to do now that I've been, you know, working again and changing what I've been doing in my life to try to adjust it a little bit. And here I am, you know, trying my best to just figure out how to fit this in there some weeks. And it kind of makes me wonder, like, should I have made this a weekly thing? But like I said, I've got some people on the line. I think I've got 5 people in my message bay as of recently that I've messaged to try to schedule out podcasts with them for the next few weeks. So I'm trying to work on a backlog if I can. I feel like that's going to be the only way I'm going to be able to do this, is to backlog things at least a little bit, and then I can pepper some stuff in there. But yeah, check out all the bands that I mentioned in this episode. That's where I was at. Scott Kirkhart, anything Jeremy Oberson, Brutal Republic, or Lone Tree Revival, Riddled with Class, all those guys are great. Corey Waller and the Wicked Things. Once again, I was like 3 blocks away, and what I heard was just amazing. So I wished I was like right in front of the speaker, sitting there listening to it, because once again, those are a lot of people that are in my peer group that are up there, and I can't believe how good it sounds. And it's not that I can't believe those people can make those sounds, but it's just like some of the heaviest hitters in all of their areas up there doing exactly what they need to be doing, and it's like, this just sounds so good. So you know, hats off to those guys doing all their stuff. Salty View, once again, hats off to them, always working. I know that me and Jesse were talking one time, you know, he got a new light setup, so that's another thing, is like Jesse's setup just keeps getting like a little bit better every time we go to a show. It seems like we're figuring out how to mic things up better and make it, put it in the mixer and make it sound better and add new things. And you know, next thing we're gonna start upgrading stuff, and he just got a light, like a little light bar, and it's like, how it's crazy how a light bar that you can buy, which by the way he bought from somebody in our peer group who sold it to him, so like hats off to, you know, for everybody like kind of just keeping it in the family, in the peer group. It's like I guess it's we're all a peer group here. It's like all the musicians. There's not like a zillion of us, but it's kind of funny that's like somebody sold it pretty much from one town to the next town, and it's all people that we all know each other, and they're all cool with each other, and it's just kind of cool. But these lights are, just four lights on a little truss rod, a little light mounting rig or whatever, and anybody can tell you, like, you just carry at least one of those around and you're just like, holy cow, this looks amazing. So we were just like, dude, before you know it, we're gonna be Salty View. And it's just like, that's pretty funny, but also, yes, it very well could hop to that before one of us knows it. So Jesse's been out there grinding. I made the joke this weekend that it like doesn't matter if he's solo or with a bassist or lead guitarist or both or a drummer or not, or somebody playing the bagpipes. It doesn't matter. Like, he's gonna find a way to make it work, and he will, because he just goes out there and plays a lot. And another one of the fun things is we'll go play shows, and people will come up to me and request songs, and I'm not like, I like music. Yes, I do. Like, I feel guilty like almost admitting this, but I do have my favorite kinds of music. So some of my favorite kinds of music I listen to a lot, and other kinds I listen to almost never. And I'm sure there's a lot of people like that. Unless I'm out in public and I listen to music and I don't know what I'm listening to, I'm just like, cool, whatever, and I kind of just floats in and out. But country's not something I listen to a lot of, and especially like older country. And people will just be like, "Hey, play this song," and I just like turn to Jesse and I'm like, "Play this song," and he's like, "Oh yeah, I heard that song," and he just scrolls through his phone and he's just like, "It's like, how did you do that?" It's like, I'm just gonna pull up the lyrics real quick just to double check it. And so it's like, this is nuts. It's just so nuts, and I can't believe he can do that, like, right there on the fly. And I mean, like, I've done stuff like that with songs I've heard, but that's the thing, is he's heard so many songs, and he's just like, oh yeah, I know how that song goes. Let me double check a couple things here real quick. And he's just like, I think it goes like this, and it's like, all right, here we go. And he pulls it off. It's so wild. I just think that's super fun, because it's something that I don't have. And I think a couple episodes ago, I might have been Emily Johnson that said he's like kind of like a human jukebox. And he kind of is, you can kind of just go up there and dump some money up there and be like, hey, play this song. And he's just like, okay, like, let's do it. Like, he gave me money. Hey, request a request. So he does. And it's funny because it's not like he's just going to do it for the money, but he'll do it. And especially if people are getting into the show and they're like, try this one out. And it's just, they're loving it. Because there have been a few shows we've been to where it's just like, I've heard this song. He's like, yeah, me too. And it's like, well, let's give it a whirl. And we give it a whirl. It's like, this didn't sound very good in the style we tried to pull it off in, or something like that. Like, we got through it, but it was still just like, this might need a little bit of work, And we ended up, people are just like, yeah, this was actually pretty close for having never played it before. And I mean, there was even a time where there was a song Jesse didn't know, and somebody just walked up with their phone and played it for him on an intermission. He's just like, yeah, I can give it a whirl. And he did, And that's one of my favorite things about him, is he's brave enough to do that stuff on the fly. Bring me with him to do it too, and it's fun because like I said, he's got like a 95% success rate with all that stuff, like going off almost without a hitch. And it's like, how do you do this, dude? And he's like, I don't know. I heard the song before. And then you just like look everything up to double check it, and you're like, boom, go for it. And that's just the way you got to do it, I guess. I could do it on the fly once again, like I said, if I had some instructions in front of me. If I've heard the song, that's the biggest factor. If I've heard the song, if I haven't heard the song, I'm kind of SOL, and that's where he comes into play. It's just like, he's heard everything, so he knows a lot of the songs people request, and that's definitely a useful tactic, as well as being educated in all types of music that you're going to end up coming in contact with or being asked to play. But yeah, that's another thing. I just spending a lot of time playing with him. It's just one of those things you start to realize about the guy. He's pretty friendly up there on the mic. I'm glad he's the guy that's the front man, because it's not like I'm not friendly on a mic. But if people request songs and I'm like, I don't want to play this, I might just be like, we'll see, and then just like never play it. And he's not that kind of guy. He's just like, yep, let's give it a go. Why not? It's like, this is crazy. How can he do this? But hats off to him. He's been doing it. I remember like going back, and it's not like I was out in the scene really, but he was just like, I can't wait till I'm out here doing this stuff with you. And I think Clint Riedel told him, he's like, you're already out here doing this stuff with us. What are you talking about? He's like, oh yeah, I forgot. And before you know it, he's in the scene doing all the stuff everyone else is doing, and he's been bringing me along with on his journey this year. So I'm really happy about that. I really do have to say I appreciate it to you, Jesse. But go back and listen to all the people, like I said in the podcast, whether it's Clint, Jeremy, Jesse. I even mentioned Vince Benishek. I'm wearing the Vinny and the Night Prowlers hat right now. Shout out to those guys. Went and did some sound for them. They sound killer every time I go see them. Just even tighter every time I see them. It's such a crazy band. They're doing the shirt I have says Raunch and Roll, and it's pretty much what it is. They're like heavy rock blues kind of band, and they do all sorts of songs from like oldies to not oldies. Everything they do keeps getting tighter and tighter. We mixed everything up. It sounded great. The drummer Bob did help me do all the sound. Pretty much I just stood there and was just like, we need this, we need this, we need this, and boom, 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 and away he went. And it's just boom, adjusted. Everything's adjusted. Sounds perfect. And like I said, they were a band I almost didn't have to do anything with. It was just like 3 or 4 songs, and I was like, change this a little bit, and he's just like, okay. And then like later, I was just like, you gonna sing a song? It's like, no. It's like, cool, because your mic's like great for backup vocals, but if you want to sing a song, we're gonna have to change it just a little bit, or something like that. So hats off to those guys. They just killed it. They keep getting tighter every time. Like I said, heavy blues rock, and here the bassist is. He's a blind guy playing an acoustic bass through like a giant bass stack, and it's like, this is insanity. These guys are so crazy. So hats off to them for just being what they are and going out there. And like I said, Vinny's one of the people that was in my peer group. I was one of the people that was like, hey, you play guitar? Yep. All right, let's go to a jam night and see what happens. And he's like, are we gonna play? And it's like, yeah, sure. We get up there, play. He plays bass because we already had everyone else playing guitars and stuff. So, and it's something, it's not like he hasn't played bass, but he's primarily a guitarist. And he hadn't even played a whole lot like then. So, and it was just like, he's like, I can learn these songs. And it's like, okay. So we just learned like 3 songs or whatever. And he played them on the bass. He kills it. And then before you know it, he's out there playing all these shows. And it wasn't until a few weeks ago, he's just like, dude, I'm so glad that I went to that show. Because if I hadn't gone to that show, I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. And it's like, that's cool. Because somebody took me under their wing and did the same thing with me. So I really do appreciate those kind of facts, and going out and seeing them live and get better every single time, just makes me happy. So hats off to them. Go check out all the bands that I mentioned in this episode. I think I'm out of here for this week before I run out of stuff to talk about. Go to the Reforged show tomorrow. Brutal Republic, Riddled with Class, Fort Dodge. It is at River Hops. Starts at 5 and ends at 9. So check that show out. They're raising money for scholarships, very important scholarships. If you didn't listen to that episode, go back to the last episode before this with Jeremy Ober and listen to him talk all about it. That episode is really good, by the way. I re-listened to that, and I don't re-listen to too many of these, even though I probably should double check more of these. I don't know how much funny stuff I've let slide past, but I should probably check more of these, but at the same time, like, I wouldn't re-listen to that one. That one is actually a really good one. So I would recommend that one to people that are looking for one to listen to, especially to get to know Jeremy Ober. I kind of finally got to peel that onion a little bit and got to listen to some of the things he had to talk about. And it was a really good episode. It was really fun. Like I said, unfortunately, like, he was one of the first people I interviewed, and I wasn't even good at interviewing people. And that's like the sad part about it. Not that I'm amazing now, but I've definitely come a long ways from where I was, I'd be like, so what do you think of this? And they'd be like, this. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's cool. I almost felt like that Chris Farley on SNL thing. Like, you remember that time you guys were out there and you did this stuff, and this is pretty cool. Like, I felt like that. It was just like, what are we doing here? So I've gotten better, and I feel like that's another thing is, we found some hot button issues for him to talk about. I peeled small conversations that we had in public into in a more elaborate form. It was just like, I remember you mentioning this. What was all that about this? And boom, before you know it, we're talking about Victor Wooten's book that he wrote. So that was a good episode recently. So if you're looking for more information on the Reforged show, check that episode out. I'm taking off this week. I'm recording this late. I've got to get stuff done before I got to go to bed. So I'll check you guys. That's weird. I almost never tell you about like the time frame when I'm recording this, but I'm recording it late. So I gotta get this all edited down. So I'm out of here. We'll check you next week. Hopefully one of my guests doesn't cancel, but I'm trying to double up a handful of them each week here so I can get some backlog stuff. So I'll check you next week with a new guest. Peace. Oh, there we go. Solo episode in the bank. Getting more used to doing those. Maybe I'll be putting out some more of those, like, regularly. I don't know. I can do solo episodes, but I really feel the show is better when I talk with other people about what's going on. Also, I did notice that when I talk with other people, there's a lot more people watching, so that's kind of my go-to for that. I don't know. That's just based on stats. The solo episodes just don't do as good, so I'll have to try to find a way to maybe fold a few of these in there, do some show updates or just some random stuff here like once a month. Or bonus episodes would always be nice as solo episodes. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, talked about a lot of good things in this episode. Go check out that Reforge Initiative show. It's tomorrow. If you're wondering about what that is and you're like, I don't know anything about this, go to the last episode with Jeremy Ober. Check that one out. Listen to it. Otherwise, yeah, go support your local musicians. There's all sorts of musicians making new music. There's some new bands cropping up, some new stuff's being recorded, new people in the scene. Just go enjoy them all. I love hanging out here in the northern Iowa scene. There's a lot of really good musicians here, and a lot of people just constantly playing music at places, and people absolutely love coming to see all of us play. And I think Jesse said it really good at one of our shows. I think he said, like, at one of the Ragbri shows, he's like, hey, if you go up and down the strip here, it doesn't matter who you run into, one of those musicians is probably one of our friends, so check them out. And that's support right there. That's what it's all about, is supporting one another. He even brought in James Tyler from Late Street over one of the Ragbri shows and had him do some rapping, and people were loving it, and I mean absolutely loving it. So that's really cool to have somebody. I don't think I've ever played a show where somebody rapped over top of what was going on, other than Jesse, because Jesse filled in for those parts when James Tyler can't be there. So it was really cool to have James Tyler there live, actually playing, while singing and rapping along, and it's really cool. I think Jesse might have that on recording somewhere. We'll have to check that out. That's another thing, keep an eye on some of these people's YouTube channels or social medias. They're dropping some really fun stuff. For example, the Audible Farm t-shirts have arrived. The new ones that I've been rumoring are here. Yeah, they're here. They are here. Believe it or not, I've got the classic black and white. I've got the red and black, and I've got the blue ones as well. I know if you're listening to this in the episode, you're like, and if you're still just like, I don't know what those are, I've been dropping subtle hints the whole episode about what kind of shirts they are, and hopefully y'all can pick it up. Yeah, I'm trying to think of more just dumb things. These t-shirts are for life. They're too sweet. They're taken over. Those would be the easy ones to throw out there for what they are, the red and black, the black and white, those are pretty obvious ones as well. But these t-shirts are pretty awesome. I only ordered a few. Check them out if you want. Otherwise, if you don't want to support monetarily, that's totally fine. The episode's always going to be free if you're just listening on the audio version. And even if you want to support and you want to do it non-monetarily, just hit subscribe, like, share, anything like that. Leave us a comment somewhere. Let us know you're here. Subscribe on YouTube. Check us out on all the social medias: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Most active on Facebook and Instagram, but also active on Twitter. So hit us up on any of those. Let us know what you think of the new shirts if you check them out. Like I said, they're available there online, but if you live just across the street from me, just hit me up and say hey or whatever. Or if you're going to see me at a show in like 3 days, just hit me up and say, hey, bring a shirt to the show and I'll bring it to you. And then at least we don't have to do the whole weird shipping. I mentioned it earlier, but we don't have to do the whole weird shipping thing where I have to like ship it to you or just like walk it down the street and just be like, here's your shipping money back, So, we can avoid all that by just hitting me up. But yeah, check it out. New Audible Farm merch is there, as well as keychains and a new darker gray Audible Farm classic shirt. That classic shirt's one of my favorites. I got a new set of orders in the classic gray. It was the color I originally wanted when I first ever ordered the shirts, but I ended up going with a lighter gray by the time I had some printed. So that's kind of a crazy thing. So I got these darker ones now. I want to see how these go. Let's see how they go. Hit me up. I've got some of those available as well. So I've got some new Audible Farm merch, not the original colors and not the original everything. I got new designs, new everything. So check them out. It's always going to be Bella Canvas, nice soft shirts, same as before. So thank you guys for supporting week in and week out. I really do appreciate all of that. Support the musicians, support the podcast, share everything you've got about everybody's shows and stuff. Let people know you're at shows. Invite more of your friends to shows, because there's been a lot of people I've invited to shows where they're like, this is actually really good. And it's like, are you serious? I can't believe that. How come you never come to these things? I'm like, I don't know. And it's like, and then they start coming to one every now and then, which is kind of the ultimate goal, just to have some buddies out there at shows enjoying what you do and meeting new people and just having a good time. So, invite your buddies to a show and let them know how much fun it is, and, just go out to a local music show. Oh yeah, one more thing before I go. I was wearing a Pork Tornado shirt like almost the whole entire time at the Ragbri shows, and people were just like, dude, you're in the Pork Tornadoes? And I'm like, no, I just know who they are. I played a show with them, and they're like, dude, they're so good. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, they usually play Ragbri. I haven't seen them yet. And it's like, yeah, no, it's unfortunate. I did have a lot of people ask me if I was in the Pork Tornadoes. My beard isn't that nice, though. So go support the Pork Tornadoes. The real deal. I've been saying it all along. They're the real deal. So check them out. They're another fun band. I know a lot of their shows are selling out this summer. So congratulations to them on signing a new booking deal, etc. They've been working really hard. They deserve it. So I had to say that before I took off, because that just happened too much this weekend to not mention it. So hats off to them. They're great guys. All right, everybody. I'll check you next week. This is the real one for this time. Peace.